Hey, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams, and this, of course, the man over here, Chris King.
That's
And
right. I'm the man over here as opposed to over there.
yeah, as opposed to over here, there, everywhere. He's the guy right there. Okay, the guy in the red. That's Chris King. We're here with Just Parlays. If you're watching us on Facebook, you're watching us on Twitch, you're watching us on Twitter, if you're watching us on Facebook, and of course on YouTube, feel free to comment. We love your comments, and we will acknowledge them. And hopefully you'll learn something from us, and we can also possibly learn something from you. So by all means, be sure to let us know what's going on. Chris, let's revisit a little bit last night. We had some things that were really interesting and some fun, and some things that were weird. So how about let's just start with the Monday Night Football game, which the Buccaneers won 30-10 in a game where it seemed like the Giants could just not give the Buccaneers more opportunities than than they needed.
Yeah, basically the Giants gave the game to Tampa Bay. I mean, the officiating didn't help necessarily, but when you turn the ball over 3 times, you only gain 215 yards offense. And really, like we said earlier, the turning point of the game was that first drive in the second half. You're only down by 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
You've driven 50 yards to get down to the Tampa Bay 25. On a 4th and 1, why are you trying to throw a pass? Daniel Jones is big enough. He's like a Josh Allen type quarterback or a Justin Herbert, where you're big enough where you can just sneak forward and pick up a yard by, you could trip over your shoes and get a yard. Why are you trying to throw a pass there? And that really can change the complexion of the game as Tampa Bay went down the field and scored on the next drive to make it a 14-point game. And the Giants did nothing offensively after that.
That's true. And it was a bit of a mess. But, things happen. And we saw last night that the Buccaneers, we did get the under right because
the Giants couldn't score.
Yeah, the Giants were kind enough to put 10 points on the board and stop.
It was disappointing, though, because I really thought that would have been a more competitive game, but they seemed to lose all momentum coming out of the locker room after that stop.
Yeah, it was weird. And then toward the end of the first, they had that, they got the pick as the time ran out in the first half. It was like, why don't you just take a knee and stop this? Because, frankly, they got lucky.
They were lucky that time expired.
10 seconds, that could have been, and they got out of bounds or got called a timeout, that could have had a field goal put on them. So I don't know what they were thinking.
Joe Judge has said that the blame is on the coaches, but you can't make mental mistakes like that, especially against a team like Tampa Bay. You're not the defending champs because you just show up.
This is true, and they and you had to believe that they were going to be, after losing 2 games and then playing, with that big crowd, they were not, and a Monday night where they normally don't do well on Monday night, that they were definitely going to laser focus in and try desperately to get back on track, and that's what happened last night.
Yeah, that defense completely stepped up in the second half and completely stifled the Giants.
Right.
And like I said, 3 turnovers. If you look at the Giants' possessions in the second half, it was downs, interception, punt, fumble, punt, downs. They didn't move the ball with any kind of regularity after that first drive in the second half.
Yeah. Well, that was then. This is now. And tonight on college, we're going to go. Let's go. Speaking of Florida, let's go talk about Florida, but others as well. Let's start.
Yep, we're going to look at the semifinals of the Maui Invitational coming to you live from Las Vegas. Why not? The Houston Cougars taking on the Wisconsin Badgers in the first round. I'm going to go with Houston giving 7.5 points. If you watched the games yesterday, Wisconsin started very slowly. They were down 15 or 16 points in the first half to Texas A&M before rallying. If you play like that against Houston and you're down 15 or 16, you might as well just pack up your stuff and go home.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the Cougars yesterday completely stomp Butler with 17-0. 6 minutes into the game, it was 21-3. They went on to win by 18 in a game that wasn't that close. Houston's 3rd in defensive efficiency. They're 38th in effective field goal percentage, holding teams to 43%. They forced turnovers on 26.2% of opponents' possessions. Wisconsin does not shoot the ball well. They're 284th in effective field goal percentage. They're 253rd in three-point shooting. They're only hitting 29.2% from beyond the arc. They're 1-4 in their last 5 on Tuesday, and Houston's 10-3 against the spread in their last 13 neutral site games. Look for Marcus Sasser and Kyler Edwards to have big games here as Houston moves on to the title game tomorrow against the winner of the Oregon St. Mary's game in that tournament.
It's funny they're playing out there at the T-Mobile Center.
It's actually the Michelob Ultra Arena.
Oh, they changed it now. Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
I think they have another tournament going on at the T-Mobile Center.
Yeah. So I can't keep up with the corporate name. Sorry about that, but it's the same
Anyone
building.
else?
Yeah, it's the same building. It's a nice building, and it's where the hockey team plays. So yeah, the Maui Invitational in Vegas. So,
Yep.
Well, that's if you think about it, when we had the Rose Bowl being played in Arlington, Texas, so I guess you can get anything done in this situation. So, speaking of interesting situations, how about let's go back to the hardwood. This time we're going to go down to Fort Myers, where they're having an interesting game tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be Rhode Island going on the road down the East Coast to face Florida Gulf Coast. Michael Fly's team, they're 2-2, but if you look at their record, they've beaten Florida National. That's Florida National, not International. And Eckerd, which last I knew was a chain of drugstores. They're
an insurance company and drugstore. So there you go.
Right. Their 2 games against Division I teams, they lost by 12 to Loyola of Chicago on the road. Then they got beat by 18 by USC at home. Meanwhile, they're facing a Rhode Island team that's 4-1, and they've beaten Boston College twice. Now, you might say, hey, who's Boston College in basketball? We're not talking about, a major powerhouse there. But they still are an ACC team, and that's still a team that's better than anybody Florida Gulf Coast has played. Mm-hmm. Florida Gulf Coast 329th in effective field goal percentage, opposing teams shooting nearly 58% from the floor, and they don't force turnovers. They're second worst in the nation by forcing turnovers on only 11.4% of possessions. Rhode Island shooting 55% or 0.7% effective field goal percentage, and they're 18th in the nation by shooting better than 42% from three. Rhode Island 4-1 in their last 5 as a favorite. Florida Gulf Coast 1-4 as a home underdog, and 2-5 in their last 7 at home. Florida Gulf Coast, they rely too much on the three. They're second in the nation as 52.2% of their points come from outside, while they're second worst in the nation scoring from 2-point range. Is only 1 out of every 3 points for that team comes from inside the arc. Rhode Island only favored by 4.5 points against a team that has lost both their games against Division I teams by double digits. It seems like a walk in the park here, and I don't know why you wouldn't take Rhode Island and give 4.5 points.
I think the best bet for Florida Gulf Coast in this situation is to perhaps be, this afternoon, have a nice barbecue out on the beach, invite the Rhode Island players out there,
have a nice
time, get a little suntan going there, maybe some volleyball, and by the time they get to the arena, they might either be tired or sunburned or both. So that might be their best bet.
Yeah, Michael Fly, I'm sure he'll get the team going in the right direction. But right now,
it ain't
when
gonna
you haven't beaten anybody, you can't really have faith in a team like that, even playing at home.
Right. So we're going to go, speaking of suntans, we're going to go from the sun to the ice. And we're going
to stay in the Sunshine State.
That's right. Up I-75 to Tampa. And it's where the Lightning play their games at the Amalie Arena. And
and they'll be playing the Flyers there tonight.
Mm-hmm.
These teams just met on Thursday night in the city of brotherly love, where Tampa Bay won 4-3 in a shootout. The Lightning are 8-1-2 in their last 11 games, while the Flyers are 1-2-1 in their last 4. Carter Hart, we've talked about it before. He's an up-and-down goaltender. When he faces Tampa, he's usually down. He's 0-3-1 with a .350 goals against and an .880 save percentage in his 4 career starts against them. Meanwhile, Andrei Vasilevsky, I don't know what else you have to say about this guy, but he's owned Philadelphia in his career. He's 9-2-0 with a .250 goals against, a .925 save percentage, and 2 shutouts in 12 career starts. When it comes to playing at the Amalie Arena in the regular season, good luck when it comes to trying to beat Vasilevsky there. He's 115-37-11 with 12 shutouts and 168 games there in the regular season. The Flyers have lost their last 4 against Atlantic Division teams, while Tampa Bay is 74-27 in their last 101 playing on 1 day of rest. They're 48-15 in the 4th game of a 6-day stretch. And you can't trust the Flyers because they'll turn in one good game and turn in one dud game. And when it comes to that, you really can't rely on a team like that.
No, what you need to know about Vasilevsky is a couple things. One, he's got 2 back-to-back Stanley Cups,
right.
And he's also a Vezina winner. So other than that, the guy does nothing. So
yeah, and you factor in, you got Victor Hedman and Mikhail Sergachev and all those guys in front of him, and you've got guys that can score seemingly at will, and they probably will score early and often. It's Carter Hart he can't seem to find the momentum that made him good as a rookie, because since then he's gone up and down and up and down, and you can't win consistently at this level with mediocre goaltending.
Nope. And that's what they're getting is mediocre goaltending. Let's move on to the next game, and this one should be fun.
Yep, we're going to go to Cowtown. And it's the Calgary Flames hosting the Chicago Blackhawks. And I'm going to go with the puck line there and take the Flames, giving 1.5 goals at plus 118. Because if you look, Chicago, sure, they've won 2 out of 3 on the road, so they're now 2-6-1 as the visiting team. But a closer look will show you that their 2 road wins are over Seattle and Vancouver. So they've beaten an expansion team and a team that plays like an expansion team. The Flames are number 1 in the league. They only give up 1.9 goals per game this season, backed by Jacob Markstrom, who's posted 5 shutouts already this year. Makes you long for the days of George Hainsworth in net. The Blackhawks averaging just 2 goals a game this season on the road. When they play Western Conference teams, that number drops to 1.67 goals per game. Chicago's just 2-7 in their last 9 against the Flames. The Flames have won 4 of their last 5, and they've won 4 of their last 5 after holding their previous opponent to 2 goals or less. The Blackhawks don't score. The Flames don't give up a lot of goals. Chicago might not get anything on the board here.
It's one of those nights where we might see a 1-0 or 2-1 game.
Well, funny enough, that's how Chicago beat Vancouver the other night on the road. They won 1-0.
Well, we're going to move on. We have more to go. And get your pens and pencils out, folks. Here we go.
We're going to head to the Lone Star State where the surging Edmonton Oilers, who are near the top of the Pacific Division, take on the Dallas Stars. Now, Edmonton led by that dynamic duo of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But they've had problems playing in the Lone Star State. They're just 11-32-1 in their last 44 trips to face the Stars. Dallas has actually won 59 of the last 87 meetings between the teams, period. They're 9-3 in their last 12 against Pacific Division teams. They're 8-3 in their last 11 as a home favorite. And the Stars have won 3 in a row at home, outscoring the opposition 14-5. With Edmonton having to play again tomorrow night, you have to wonder if they're going to try to conserve a little bit of energy. Meanwhile, Dallas has had 2 days off ahead of this game. They'll have 2 days off after this game. They're well rested. They're motivated. They're actually starting to put things together after a really sluggish start to the year. And I like the Stars at home just because of the fact that the Oilers, for some reason, don't like Texas.
Oh, well, it's hard, and I know this is for you the same, is to bet against Connor McDavid. I mean, he's a fantastic player. He's one of the most exciting guys in hockey. But, the numbers just don't bear out anything well for them on that.
Right. I mean, I'm surprised really that Edmonton has played as well as they have, considering Mike Smith has been out with a leg injury. They've been relying on Mikko Koskinen and as their starting goaltender. And he wasn't great last season, but I guess when you're scoring almost 4 goals a game, that can paper over a lot of issues in the defense.
That is true, my friend. That is true. So we go from the ice to the hardwood. The NBA's coming up. And you got some really fun games tonight.
Yeah, we got a couple of, marquee markets as far as TV goes when the Lakers make the cross-country trip to face the Knicks. I look for this game to stay under the 214.5 point total. If you look, the Lakers will not have LeBron James tonight as he serves that 1-game suspension for the attempt to recreate the malice at the Palace with the Pistons the other night when he flattened Isaiah Stewart. The Lakers are just 2-4 on the road this year. They had to come back from 15 down to beat the Pistons and didn't cover the line there. Meanwhile, the Knicks have stayed under the total in 9 of their last 10, including 7 straight. The Lakers are playing a first game of back-to-back here as they'll go to Indiana on Wednesday. And they have not found their team chemistry yet. If you look about it, you've got Westbrook, James, and Davis, and then you've got a bunch of guys that are just hoping that they'll actually get to touch the ball on a possession or two now and then. The Knicks like to grind it out, make teams play their style. Tom Thibodeau, always a great defensive coach, and he will make life difficult for the Lakers because Westbrook is going to end up probably jacking 30 shots and missing 25 of them because he just can't shoot from the perimeter. And this game is going to end up under the total. Granted, the Lakers are second worst in the league in scoring defense, but the Knicks aren't a great offensive team, and they'd rather win 95-92 than win 120-115.
It's funny. I bet you there'll be a lot of Laker fans who happen to be in Madison Square Garden tonight. So we'll see how that plays out. But these, as you say, it's a marquee matchup, but not necessarily are we seeing the marquee players showcased tonight.
Right, and the fact that, the Lakers are abysmal on the road makes it a lot less entertaining for fans at Madison Square Garden. But hey, Spike Lee will be there, so, you can watch for him.
That's all you can ask for. Let's go to the other LA team.
Right, the Clippers. While the Lakers are on the road, the Clippers get to play at home, and they'll face the Mavericks in the second game of a home-and-home set. The Clippers won 97-91 over the weekend. They're favored by 5.5 points here, but I like the Mavericks here. Luka Doncic is questionable, but he did practice fully yesterday, so they're hopeful that he'll be back. He's missed the last 3 games. The Dallas lost all 3 of them. On the flip side, the Clippers are minus Nick Batum, who went into the health and safety protocols for COVID over the weekend. Kawhi Leonard is out. Marcus Morris hopes to come back, but he's missed 15 games with a knee injury. And you have to wonder how much he's got in the tank right now. If he's limited or doesn't play, Amir Coffey will get the start at power forward again. And I know you're wondering, who's Amir Coffey? So is everyone else.
Right.
Dallas 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. They're 9-3 in their last 12 on the road against teams with a home winning percentage better than 600. Clippers just 3-7 in their last 10 against the spread after an ATS win. Take the points in the Mavericks. Even if Doncic is limited, you still got Kristaps Porzingis and Tim Hardaway that can carry the load there. So can Jalen Brunson. Look for him to have a big night.
Yeah, that's true. They got some pretty decent players on that team. All right. Well, we've been to a lot out in Los Angeles. We talked about both the LA teams. Let's move somewhere else on this one. Let's stay in the Midwest and East.
Well, actually, we're going to the Pacific Northwest.
I was wrong. Okay.
Portland at home. They're going to face the Nuggets in a Northwest Division battle. Portland favored by 6 here. Denver dealing with a bunch of injuries. Zeke Naji out with an ankle injury. Bones Island, their first-round pick, is also out with an ankle injury. Jamal Murray still recovering from that torn ACL he suffered last April. Michael Porter Jr. missing with a back injury. That's a lot of firepower to take out of a Denver rotation.
Right.
And then you look at Nikola Jokic is questionable. He's missed the last 2 games with a wrist injury. They don't know if he'll take the floor here. Michael Malone playing close to the vest about that. Meanwhile, Damian Lillard's back from his abdominal injury, so the Blazers are fully healthy. They're 8-1 at home this year. Denver 2-5 on the road. Nuggets 0-5 after giving up 100 points or more, and we just saw them give up 126 to the Suns over the weekend at a 29-point stomping. They're 0-4 in their last 4 overall. Portland 4-0-1 in their last 5 as a favorite, and 3-0-1 as a home favorite. Give the 6. Look for Lillard and McCollum to have a big game in the backcourt. Look for Nurkic to pound the glass and make life tough for Denver, especially if Jokic doesn't play. And the Trailblazers improved to 9-1 at home by taking this one comfortably.
It's funny. Some teams play really well at home, no matter how good or bad they are season after season. It just seems like Portland always is one of those teams. It doesn't matter whether they're.
Denver always plays well at home, but that's mainly because of the altitude, and then they're mediocre on the road.
But for some reason, Portland is one of those teams that they consistently play well at home, whether they're a 500 team or they're a contender for the title. It's funny how that happens. So we've gone through college basketball, we've gone through the NHL, We've gone through the NBA. There's only one thing left tonight, my friend. That's the
It's
Mac
Tuesday
attack.
night.
That's right. It must be the Mac, and I know you have some favorites in this one.
Yep. Now, what surprises me about this isn't that I'm taking Northern Illinois over Western Michigan. What surprises me is that Northern Illinois is a 4-point underdog at home. They're looking to clinch the MAC West title, which would put them in the MAC title game, of course. They're 6-1 in conference play. They're coming off an overtime win over Buffalo on the road last week. Meanwhile, Western Michigan's lost 3 of 4, and they're 1-5 ATS in their last 6. Western Michigan's just 2-3 on the road, and they lost to Eastern Michigan on the road last week in the geographical battle of the Great Lakes State, despite being favored by 6. Western Michigan has forced only 3 turnovers in their last 7 games. Northern Illinois has a very good offensive attack. They're 4-0 at home against teams with a winning record. They're 9-1-1 after giving up at least 200 yards on the ground. Western Michigan has gone just 5-15-1 against the spread in their last 21 games against Northern Illinois, and they've lost 8 of their last 10 in DeKalb. How they're favored is one of those things where you have to wonder, did somebody hit a button wrong when they were entering in the lines? Take Northern Illinois in the points and go to the window, walking away a winner on that one.
Well, there you go. So we've gone through all that. Let's go 2 for the money, my friend.
Yep, we've got a couple.
We've got a couple of fun ones.
Yep, I'm going to take Providence minus 2.5 over Virginia on the college hardwood. Providence 5-0 this season. Virginia, they won the title a couple years ago and then flamed out in the first round last year.
Right.
Tony Bennett's team 3-2. They're still relying on that pack line defense, but they're not scoring a lot of points. We saw them lose to Houston last week where they scored 47. It's going to take more than that to get it done with any kind of regularity. I've also got, like we said, Tampa Bay over the Flyers to cap that one off. And then on the other one, the Heat and the Pistons on the hardwood look to stay under 207. Detroit, second worst in the league in scoring offense. Miami, a top 5 scoring defense. Pistons might be happy if they get to 90 points. And then, like we just talked about, Northern Illinois over Western Michigan, take the 4 points at home. I have no idea why the Broncos would be favored when they have a losing road record. They've lost 3 of 4. They're 1-5 against the spread. It doesn't make sense unless, something suddenly happened where half the team got food poisoning. There's no way that Western Michigan should be favored in this contest.
Well, we've gotten 2 for the money. Time to go 4 for the show.
Right, and that we've got a pair of games from the NHL. We talked about the Flames with the puck line over the Blackhawks, given the fact that Chicago doesn't score on the road and they haven't beaten anybody on the road. Then we've got the Stars over the Oilers. Like we said, it's hard to go against McDavid and Draisaitl, but Dallas has played well at home lately. The Oilers struggle playing in Dallas. I don't know if it's the arena. I don't know if it's the lighting. I don't know if they don't like the barbecue. It could be anything. But the Oilers struggle in Dallas. Then you've got Portland, like we said, -6 over the Nuggets. The Nuggets are just too banged up right now. They don't play well on the road. Portland very good at home, and they're actually healthy, which is something you normally can't say about this team. And then the Mavericks +5.5 on the road over the Clippers. Luka Doncic hoping to be back in the uniform tonight to play for Jason Kidd and company. Kristaps Porzingis still in the mix. You can't look for the Mavericks to lose a 4th straight game, especially if Doncic is back in the lineup.
Not plus that Mark Cuban will chase them all over the court if they don't. So
well, that's true.
There's that. So we've gone 2 for the money, 4 for the show, and now it's time to go for the big one. And here we go, my friends. Get ready, because Mr. King is going to make you rich and famous on this one.
Right, and like we always say, we list all these things. You can try to play all of them. You can pick and choose. You can set up your own matchups, whatever works for you. We're just here to try to give you the best information that we have out there.
So
but how you put them together,
6, whatever you want. You don't have to do all of these.
Right, however you want to do it. That's your own choice. Like we said, the Lakers and the Knicks, I look to go under 214.5. I look for the Heat to cover 10 points against the Pistons. Like we said, Detroit doesn't score that game against the Lakers Sunday, notwithstanding. Obviously, when the Lakers are 29th in scoring defense, the Heat are in the top 5. Detroit's going to have a long night shooting the ball. I look for the Mavericks and the Clippers to go over 210. There's a lot of offensive weapons on both those teams. You'd like to think that, those will actually pan out. In the Hall of Fame Classic coming to you from Kansas City tonight in the championship game, I'm taking number 13 Arkansas, giving 5.5 points over Cincinnati. Cincinnati plays really well defensively, but they haven't played a team like Arkansas that'll run and push the tempo, which is Eric Musselman's trademark going back to the CBA. In the Maui Invitational semifinals, I'm going to take Oregon, getting 2 points over St. Mary's. St. Mary's had to go right down to the wire yesterday to edge Notre Dame by 3 on a Dan Fatu 3 in the final minute. Oregon had the benefit of playing Chaminade, and guess what? This is in 1982. So they managed to pull away in the second half in that one, so their guys are probably a little bit better rested. Also on the college hardwood, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bulls, -4.5 over the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks at the Alumni Arena. UB, a very deep team. They're a very veteran team. They crash the boards well. They play harassing defense. They will make life tough for the Lumberjacks, who, don't get me wrong, they play well in the Southland Conference, but even though the MAC is a mid-major, it's a step up for the Lumberjacks here, and I'm not sure they're ready to answer the bell on the road. On the ice, we're going to go with Tampa Bay and the Flyers going over 5.5. We saw them combine for 7 goals Thursday night in Philadelphia. It shouldn't be a problem to see 6 or so here. We've got the Flames and the Blackhawks. I'm going the other way on that one. I'm looking at under 5.5. Like we said, Calgary leads the league in goals against. Chicago doesn't score on the road. They don't score against Western Conference teams. They don't score on days ending in Y. That's why they're 2-6-1 as a road team this season. Look for that one to fall under the mark. And then finally, with some action, I'm going to look for Ball State and Buffalo to go over 59.5. UB in Northern Illinois was a 33-27 overtime game last week. Ball State can score points. And finally, in that aforementioned Northern Illinois Western Michigan game, look for it to go over 61. Both teams averaging better than 30 points a game. Neither team plays defense all that well. It should be a high-scoring affair that could come down to the last couple of possessions, and it'll end up going past 61. We could see another 45-42 type game like we usually see in the MAC this time of year.
That's what makes it fun. Well, Chris, it's been a pleasure as always, my friend, ladies and gentlemen. Hope that you've been entertained and enjoyed. Lots of information here. By all means, if you can't catch us live every day at 1:30, you can catch us all day on replay right here on Winners and Winers on our YouTube channel. So be sure to do that. Be sure to stay tuned for Back to the Window with Scott and Scott coming up at 3 o'clock on the WWSBN Winners and Winers Sports Betting Network. So for my esteemed colleague, Chris King, I'm Jim Williams saying have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you tomorrow, hopefully with some winners in our Just Parlays.